Last week, I said I'm not going to make any decisions how I think things are going to go until I see how Jeff Jarrett is going to run this night of Global Force Wrestling versus TNA in only competition. I'll say this. We haven't been getting a very good product from TNA lately. Because it's nearing the end, near September, we all know what could happen. TNA may lose could lose their spot. Hell, ROH could lose their spot. The question was, are they still going to produce a decent product while we're still wondering, are they going to be kicked out or not? When you look at this, it wasn't a bad product. As much, I'm sure a lot of people are not going to be happy. And I have not seen the Slag Daddy's video if he's going to do any on Jeff Jarrett and his wife. You guys know about assumed Jeff Jarrett position. That personally for myself is the funniest shit I've ever seen. But taking away from it, if I have to look at it so far from face value, did they do a good beginning? They have. But I do believe they could have done better than this. Now, when it came to the Adonis, Jesse Goddard versus Lashley, I do believe it was not necessary. I know they want to try and give a reason for a Bobby Lashley to be in the King of the Mountain match. But to be honest, against a Jesse Goddard, I don't think it was worth it. I really don't. Particularly that Robbie E is the one who was in the King of the Mountain match along with Bobby Lashley. You could have let Jesse Goddard have a match against Chris Masters or Chris Mazowski, I believe he's called. The modern day Adonis versus the Adonis. Because hey, Chris Masters was considered the Adonis. This is being considered the modern day Adonis. It would have made better sense to put those two together. Instead of having Lashley deal with Jesse Goddard directly and then squash the shit out of him. I'm not saying that Jesse Goddard needs to win the match. But it would have been better for him to face a Chris Mazowski, if that's the name he's going. I can't remember what Chris Masters is going by right now. If I'm wrong, please tell me below. The next match. Well, there weren't that many matches here. Tigre Uno versus Sanjay Dutt. Now, Sanjay was the one who first came out and tried to stop Eli from beating the crap out of Double J. That was more interesting in this match. Now, I'm not saying the match wasn't good. These are two X Division guys. Sanjay Dutt has been in the X Division for many, many years. The problem I felt was that he wasn't allowed to expand out of that. And I think it would have been better for him to expand into the Global Championship or the Television Championship when they still had it, from what I understand. Sanjay has a good personality. He has some good speaking voice. He seems like he could hold a conversation. And I believe instead of being trapped in the X Division, he should have been allowed to go after the mid-card belt. But when you look at this, it's a pretty average match because the X Division is not being promoted. I'm not saying the match quality was bad. I want to make this very clear. Tigre Uno is a great wrestler. Sanjay Dutt is an exceptional wrestler. But the problem is that the X Division is become extremely average and uncared for by TNA. So no matter how great the matches are being put on, we just don't get a very good quality all around. And this is how I feel about it. When it came to EC3 dealing with Matt Hardy, I felt it was done very well. Now I know a lot of people don't care about Matt. I've said it myself. Excuse me. Excuse me again. Woo! That was a hiccup and a half. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Matt Hardy is underutilized. He may not be the greatest main eventer that's ever been known, but he can easily be in the main event and be a transitional champion. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with being a transitional one. Now we know that Jeff is not ready yet to come back. Or he has already come back and he's doing the tapings now. But At that time, he wasn't able to come back yet. And I don't mind seeing a Matt Hardy in the main title scene for a little while. We need something for EC3. Why not have a Matt? There's nothing wrong with that. Matt spoke well. EC3 spoke well. And with that tan, he looks awesome. And Tyrus is doing what Tyrus needs to be. He's muscle, let him be muscle. But I would like to see Tyrus in a different ring attire. I know everyone don't really care about Tyrus. I'm upset personally because I do believe Tyrus could have been something more. But they didn't give him enough of a character. And having him wear almost the exact same clothes when he was a Funkasaurus did not help much. It would have been better for him to have an entirely different look. That would have been more helpful instead of just having the Amish beard. There you go. I'm going to go to the King of the Mountain match right now. I know I could leave it for the end. And what happened with PJ Black, who is basically Justin Gabriel. It's good to see Justin doing something. I did check the website before this actually happened. I know he was there. But seeing that they chose him to end it instead of Lashley, or I thought it might have been Robbie E. I know you're going to say, what? And I had to think about it because of the way the match was going. Robbie E was getting a lot of attention along with PJ Black. I am happy to see PJ doing this because for the simple reason, if you're going to keep going with Global Force Wrestling, dealing with TNA, it had to be either Chris Mazowski or it had to be TJ Perkin. Well, PJ. I'm going to say TJ. PJ Black. It had to be one of these guys. Personally, if Robbie E had been thrown into the main title scene, it would have taken the entire TNA and gone like this, turned it sideways. I'm not saying it would have been a great feud between the EC3 and the Jobber, but it would have been something different. Second to last. No, actually I almost forgot the Anderson segment. I don't know what's going to happen with this open mic challenge. I know they're going to use the mic to try and beat the crap out of each other. That's how I feel it's going to happen. But the problem here is that when you look at Bram, he's not really going to the extreme. And it didn't show enough of Anderson to show he can go to the extreme, even though he can't easily go to the extreme. You have to show him with being beaten up more often. Not in the ring, but outside the ring. That's what I felt the problem is. They had their feud in the ring. It needed to transition outside the ring and show Anderson really getting whipped badly. But we never went there, so it just seems like it's lacking. But the feud here isn't. That's Rockstar Spud versus Robert Roode. This was the second best thing of the night, for me personally. It made sense storyline-wise. Mind-blowing! TNA did something correct here. Austin Aries got beat by Rockstar Spud. Austin Aries acted really classy with Rockstar Spud when it was over. Austin Aries acted classy with Robert Roode. He left with respect. Now the next week, Robert Roode comes out pissed off that he's not in the King of the Mountain match. He's pissed off he just lost his partner. And he wants to take it out on the guy who did it. Very good. When it came down to it, we had a very good segment between them. It was a little shaky with Rockstar Spud. Around the middle part. I think he might have forgot his line a little bit. But still got it so well over. The crowd was highly enthusiastic. More than any other men in the show. And I know you're going to say, what about the women? I'm coming to that. That's the main event here for me. But when you see this, ladies and gentlemen, this will be the feud of the year. For me personally, at least at the end of the year. Yeah, I think it will be the second best feud of the year. If they do it properly. You got Rockstar Spud, who's still red hot from dealing with Austin Aries. Who's still red hot dealing with EC3 when he had that match with him. Where he was still doing great with Angle. He's doing very well. He's not a big guy, but he has a lot of charisma. Now you got Robert Roode, who's been known to have great charisma if he's been allowed to be off the cuff. and he spoke very well off the cuff. Beat the crap out of Austin, the man who beat Austin Aries, put him in a crossface, and now you have a feud between two charismatic guys. If you cultivate this great, by the time of Bound for Glory, we can have something really good. Do I believe they're going to go there? No. I do believe that TNA will rush this. But if they don't, and they build this, you will have a Robert Roode and a Rockstar Spud match at Bound for Glory. And even if it's going to lead to Robert Roode leaving, well, Bobby Roode, not Robert Roode, Bobby Roode leaving. I'm sorry I keep saying Robert and Bobby. They do mean the same, but you know what I mean. I'm bad with names. But you get what I'm saying. If Bobby Roode is going to leave TNA, let him have a build-up going to Bound for Glory with Rockstar Spud, who can get the best rub from it. Finally, ladies and gentlemen, is what I've been waiting for. When they brought out Lady Tapa, and I've always said this, there are very few big women in wrestling today. You got Havoc, you got Awesome Kong, and you had Tapa. All three of them were in TNA at the time, at different points. And I felt that Lady Tapa would be a great addition to what women's wrestling is all about. It's not about small women who look sexy or small women who can just wrestle their asses off either in MMA or regular pro wrestling. It's various types of women with various types of size. And with different size women gives a better dynamic. Now, very rarely do big women work very well. And in this case, Lady Tapa dealing with Awesome Kong was a good dynamic. I know a lot of people are going to say Lady Tapa isn't that good. I'm not saying she is. She's only been in the company, in both companies, maybe a maximum of nearly 4 to 5 years. I'm even saying 4 to 5 years as a really big stretch. It depended on how much she did before she joined TNA, maybe about 2013, 2012, when she appeared. And then eventually had to leave, go to ODW. Then she did the different promotions. She actually met Awesome Kong maybe about 2 years ago. And she actually did an interview with her saying to someone, I can't remember who, saying, I'm going to be dealing with Lady Tapa. This is a big-ass broad. I can't wait to get in the ring with this woman to see what she's like. And when you look at this, they did the best match of the night, where there weren't that many matches at all. But they did the best match of the night. And neither one of them had the job. I know Lady Tapa got slammed on the on the stage ramp. I know, but it doesn't mean she needed the job. It was a dead even match, and they both were counted out. And I felt that was the wisest thing to do. Now, I know I could talk about the Wolves, and the Wolves did kick ass on the other, what were the guys' name? Trevor Lee and Brian Myers. I mean, it was an average match. It was a good match. All the matches were good, but they were average for TNA. Since there was no hyping for this over a couple of weeks, it was only 1 week this was done. So a lot of what went on in this show was such a short time to build for it, it felt average. Even though it was very good, the show felt average for the simple fact that TNA has lost the understanding. Just like WWE. If you really want something special, you need to give it at least 3 weeks to a month. And we haven't had 3 weeks to a month with this. We have 1 week's build for this. And I don't even know if they did anything much on Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram. They really didn't build into this. And this is why I feel that things are not going to be great for TNA and Global Force Wrestling. It does have a very decent beginning. It wasn't a bad show. But with no build, this is where TNA is going to fall flat on its freaking face. They need to get out of this stupidness of not building the shows. Hell, Turning Point Theme Impact is next week. And they mentioned it once. Once they mentioned it. And that was with EC3. Oh, no, wait a minute. I think they might have mentioned that with the open mic challenge. If they did, I'm sorry if I forgot. But they mentioned it maybe once or twice. they really need to do better and they're promoting their own freaking show. They're doing exactly as they did with Spike. But it was still a good show. But that's my opinion. How about yours? So I hope you enjoyed this Zane's View. Please give me a comment below. Tell me how you felt about my Cesaro video. I truly believe that the Cesaro video really epitomizes what we want in a wrestler, but also what we get in WWE. I don't feel like he's going to get anywhere, but I do believe that if he did, he will be as big as Daniel Bryan, or maybe more. Have a good day and have a good night. Peace!